What's up, everybody? Thursday night football is approaching, and what better way to top it off right before the game starts with this sick podcast collab? We have the Talking Titans, Steeler Crazy. Let's just get to it, Sammy.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. It's gonna be sick.
It's going to be sick. There you have it. Sal and Vinny, how are you guys?
I'm doing good, well. Man. Thanks for this little collab tonight. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, we're very thankful because I didn't want to put him on the spot, but it's Michael's birthday tonight, so sorry we don't have a cupcake or anything.
No, it's cool. It's not just that, but we're outnumbered tonight. We're usually just got Sam and Anello back there, 2 Titans.
Yeah,
we got 4 on today.
Man.
So
they're like forming a team right now.
Completely outnumbered. I know.
It could be 5 of us, but Jared's still in Turks and Caicos living his best life.
Wow. I wish I was there, but hopefully he's having a good time.
Right
yeah, so I'll start it off. We were talking off air a little bit. Will Levis, Mr. Mayo himself, is getting the start. I know you guys are probably over Ryan Tanninghill as Titans fans right now. This guy came in, he lit up the Falcons for 4 touchdowns. He has a cannon for an arm. How do you think that he's going to match up against this Steeler defense? We do have Cam Hayward. He just announced that he's coming back. This isn't the Falcons defense. You have one of the best generational talent, TJ Watt, on the other side of the ball. How do you see him faring against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday night?
Go for it. Ooh. Well, look at us both being gentlemen, But I guess I'll start. Listen, after last week's performance, Will Levis could put mayonnaise on anything he wants. I don't really care. There is no reason for us to believe that this week should be any different because we've convinced ourselves he's the best ever after just one game. I mean, did you watch the guy play? It was amazing. Yeah. But no, obviously TJ Watt is one of the best defensive players in the league. He's won the award, I believe, at least once. I'm sure you guys could tell me how many times he's been Defensive Player of the Year. But it's not going to be, sunshines and rainbows forever. It's Pittsburgh is a tough place to play. You guys have historically owned us there. I know it might not be as hostile as it is in New York or Philly, but I know you guys get rowdy too. So it's never an easy place to play. I expect a low-scoring, ugly game. I think we're going to devise a nice game plan for Will Levis. I mean, I love what they did last week. A lot of quick passes to set everything up, to get him, going, to get him in a groove. And I expect much of the same. And I'm not really as worried about Will Levis as I am our offensive line. We have been struggling on the offensive line for years now. It seems at times like we're getting it together, and then at times we look awful. And your defensive line, I believe, is the same reason why our team keeps us in a lot of games, and it's because of your defensive line. Titans fans, we love our line. I know you guys do as well, and it is for good reason because it is nasty. So I'm more worried about the offensive line, but like I said, because you guys can get after the quarterback, I expect a lot of quick passes to set everything up. I expect a big day out of Tajay Spears. I'll get into that later. Not as much Henry, but of course I'm worried about. Yeah, of course I'm worried about TJ Watt and Hayward coming back. Of course, of all weeks, it's this week. But yeah, I listen. Will Levis gave us all the reasons to believe last week, but it's not going to be that easy forever. And I like this though. It's a good test for a young quarterback off a big win. On a short week in a tough place against a team we haven't beaten in a long time. I like the challenge for young Will Levis.
Yeah, I mean, I can echo a lot of what he said. I mean, realistically speaking, I think as Titan fans, we need to lower expectations a little bit. Obviously, what we saw on Sunday was well above and beyond expectations or even our wildest dreams for that matter. So to expect Will Levis to show up on prime time in one of the toughest places to play in the NFL and drop another 4 tutties, I think that's unrealistic. But like I said, going into last week, what we need to continue to see out of him until he's comfortable in this league is not losing us the game. And that's essentially the opposite of what he did on Sunday. So things that Tannehill and Malik would do, which would lose us the game. Bad throws to the sideline, taking sacks that are unnecessary sacks. If you watch the last series against the Ravens in England, Malik Willis had to go out of bounds at the end of the game down 10, and he just stayed, like he purposefully stayed in bounds, and I think that was the final straw with him. We just need to see smart plays like Levis made to not put us in bad down and distance situations, and he's been doing that with flying colors. So if he can do that Thursday night, even if he doesn't throw 4 touchdowns, even if he throws a pick here and there, if he trusts his arm, we can see that he trusts his arm, and he doesn't go out of his way to lose us the game, then we're going to continue to ride this cloud 9 that we're on, or as Vinny said, cloud 8, and we're just going to keep moving and keep trying to build around him.
Fellas, the Steelers offense has been historically bad, but I think if you talk to Steelers Nation and a lot of people around Pittsburgh, certainly Jordan and I, we would tell you that our weakest positional group this season has been defensive backs, believe it or not. Leads me into D-Hop, man. This guy comes out of the grave last weekend, scores 3 touchdowns, his first 3 touchdowns of the season, of course, against the Falcons. Listen, he's had a decent year, 11 catches I saw a couple games ago. However, just lit it up with Levis at quarterback. Tell me where that came from and, him getting more comfortable in the offense.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Sal. No,
if you didn't mind, I would like to start on this one. I'll be very brief, though. What a lot of people need to realize, whether a Titan fan, not a Titan fan, casual football fan, we had a quarterback, arguably over the last year and a half, that was as unmobile as you could be, as what he appeared to be, terrified in the pocket, and really a guy who could barely even make a check down. I mean, Ryan Tannehill, since he got hurt last year, has just been abysmal in every single statistical category. And it's been proven even more so now this past Sunday that we didn't wake up D-Hop out of the grave. We just gave him a quarterback that can get him open. And that's when you have a guy that still has the speed he has, still has the hands he has. If you can get him open, he's going to reward you. And Will Levis obviously got him open because he was able to lead him 50 yards down the field, which Tannehill just can't do anymore. And it's okay. It's not a knock on him. But realistically speaking, I think you're going to see more improvement out of a lot of younger players with this kid if he continues to play the way he plays, because he's trusting his arm. And that's just something we have not had at quarterback. Really, even with Mariota at times, he never trusted his arm, and that was one of his biggest issues. So it's just the most refreshing thing to see, and that's the biggest reason why you're seeing these stars play like stars, because the quarterback's the most important position, and I think we can all agree on that.
No, absolutely. And the reason why D-Hop came back from the grave is because he didn't have a quarterback who was playing from the grave, and that was Ryan Tannehill. Sal alluded to it. Jarrett, our counterpart, who isn't with us today, is on vacation still. Out of the 3 of us, was the only one who still thought Tannehill deserved a shot. I've been done with him even the year before we lost to the Bengals. We lost to the Ravens in the wild card round. We won the division. They beat us at home. And I thought to myself, we're not going to get any better with this kid. And yes, he was a victim of bad play calling and inadequate talent around him. We traded the best receiver in franchise history. So we didn't do many things to help him, but that was all the more reason to let him go, because he was never a guy who's going to win you a game on his own or elevate the play of the players around him. He needed talent around him to begin with, and we didn't do a good job at surrounding him with the talent or good play calling. That being said, I don't think D-Hop came out of the grave last week. I'm glad you corrected yourself. He has been targeted a lot this year and has had a solid year. I think even though he hasn't scored, he's had 2 games where the one game against the Colts, he popped off another game. I think he has around at this point probably 500 or 600 yards. So he's on pace for a solid year. Maybe it's not the D-Hop of old, but he can clearly still play. And Sal alluded to it with Will Levis not only revitalized that offense, he revitalized that team. When your quarterback is playing up to par, I mean, it elevates and motivates everybody from the team to the fan base to even Twitter communities. I mean, as I'm sure you guys can attest to that too. Usually it's divided at least a few different ways. And Will Levis played so good last week. He revitalized Titans Twitter and the community that it is. So it's amazing what a young, talented quarterback can do for your franchise. I know you guys are in a situation where I'm sure you're not sure if you found your quarterback or not, but I mean, D-Hop has proven he could still play at a high level. I hope he sticks around for not only this year, next year, and maybe even after that, depending on how good Will Levis is. But yeah, he's the reason why, 110%.
Yeah, Mike and Jay, I'll turn it over to you now, guys. Appreciate you giving us those solid questions on our team.
Yeah.
Obviously, it appears that Kenny Pickett will be playing tomorrow night. So with that being said, what's your feeling on that? I mean, I don't know what the extent of the injury was last week. I don't know, if you're at a point now where you might actually trust Trubisky a little bit more at the moment. Where your guys' heads at with Kenny, and what have you thought of him so far leading up until this week?
Yeah, JY.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, like, the rookie season, with all the concussions. And I'll be honest, like, I tweeted out earlier this week that I think that I've seen enough of Mitch Trubisky. I think that, he's a solid quarterback, a solid backup quarterback. But I was in the Mason Rudolph giving him a chance if Kenny Pickett couldn't go. I think the thing with Kenny Pickett is that he does have that it factor. And I mean, the guy is banged up and wants to go out there and play and give it his all. If that can't get your team fired up, I don't know what will. But yeah, it definitely worries me. I mean, because as a football player, I mean, you can't go down and have this many injuries this early in your career and say, hey, this is our franchise quarterback. It's definitely worrisome. But at the same time, it also the grit, we're a blue collar city. It's a blue collar town, and he embodies everything that's a Pittsburgh Steeler. So yeah, I'm going to root for the guy just like you guys, would root for, whoever is playing at quarterback for the Titans. But it's definitely worrisome. I think that we would have won the Jacksonville game if Kenny Pickett would have stayed in, because he comes alive. He's like Tom Brady in the fourth quarter. I don't know what goes on. The first three quarters, there's like 50 yards passing, and then the fourth quarter it just comes alive. But yeah, there's definitely worrisome. But I think it's good that he's going to get back in there and play. I just hope that these injuries don't continue, because you got to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, it's a rib injury, fellas. So, I mean, obviously it's something that is going to impact him if he gets hit hard. Could impact throws, of course, as well. But Jordan said it. I mean, he's a gritty dude. I'm not surprised. If he tells Coach Tomlin he wants to play, he's going to play, because he's at that part, in his career. Obviously, at this point, the keys are handed to him. It's his team. But, the story isn't just about health. It's obviously how inefficient he's been when he's actually been healthy and played, unfortunately. Your guy, Will Levis, threw 4 touchdowns last Sunday. Kenny Pickett hasn't done that once in 20 games. Never done it in his entire career, right? Steelers have gone 54 consecutive games without 400 yards. You guys had 375 yards total last game. And listen, a lot of the ineptitude has been placed on Matt Canada, offensive coordinator. I don't know how aware you guys are of it. There are fire Canada chants. Literally college game day in Utah last week. Yeah. You have fire Canada chants all throughout the country. I mean, this guy is like the most hated dude in Pittsburgh sports history right now, because he's not innovative whatsoever. His game plans are super vanilla. We used him as the excuse for this offense's lack of success the last 2 seasons. But at this point, Kenny Pickett's absolutely a part of that, because you would have outliers, right? Every once in a while. You just would. Like if you were the worst chef of all time and I gave you a bunch of ingredients and said, cook me 20 meals, like 1 out of 20, I'd be like, damn, this is banging. You did a great job. This is delicious. Kenny hasn't had that in literally 1 game. He hasn't, had 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. So, yeah, I mean, we're still holding out hope, right? People always throw out, look at Trevor Lawrence's first 20 games, right? You hear that 15 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. Josh Allen wasn't great through his first 20 games, and then both these guys took off, but they have much higher ceilings, that's for sure, too. So, I mean, you guys will get really your first taste of it, obviously. We haven't played each other since the Kenny Pickett era began. He's steady, but it's definitely not going to be a shootout. I can promise you fellas that.
Well, with that with that stat line with the 400 yards. I think you made me and Sal feel a little bit better about ourselves and the Titans.
Bro.
Because our
No,
fans,
bad.
Vin.
I'm going to let me finish.
No, but I'm going to let you. But you know better than anyone. What is the only team in the NFL that takes care of any awful records that are at hand? It's the Titans. So I would depend on there being a good chance that they.
Let me check on this weather report, fellas. This will dictate a lot. I haven't
go ahead, Van.
seen
I'm
this
sorry.
yet. Jordan, what are you looking at? Is it snowing up there that way? What are we
I mean, it was snowing today. It wasn't sticking much, but it's definitely it was in the 40s.
I think Sammy. I think you got a Sammy. Don't you have a live clip
Doppler.
of the weather right now in Pittsburgh? I think you. Oh wait, what? Oh shit!
Oh, my God.
Oh shit!
Boy! How do I exit out of this?
My fault.
How did I know?
My fault.
How did that end up
that
for you
wasn't
guys?
it. That wasn't it.
White. Is that
That was
Yeah,
the last time we
Glenn.
beat you.
Here, Sammy, bring up all the Titans Super Bowl trophies. Oh, wait.
Oh, shit. I had no idea that was going to happen. I apologize. Sammy, I can't believe you did that to these two guys. I mean, these guys. This is part of
I know, especially Mike on his birthday.
On his birthday.
I mean, he's caught me off. He's telling Sammy to put these videos in. He's reckless right now. He needs to be stopped.
It's all good fun.
You don't disrespect the terrible top. That's just common sense, man.
Yeah, I actually have a manager of mine. One of my managers is a diehard Steelers fan, lives in the area, and I joked with him once when we played each other a couple of years ago. I said, I'm going to wipe my you-know-what with the terrible towel. And he said, well, then you'll wake up with colon cancer because you'd never do that. And I'm like, okay, they don't play with the terrible towel thing. So I learned real quick not to disrespect any Steelers fan like that. So I apologize on Sal's behalf. You know,
okay. We'll blame it on Sammy.
Yeah, the Jaguars are anti-Steelers. They just obviously, or you guys, I should say, are anti-Jags heavily because of the AFC South. So listen, we need some backing here because of what happened this past Sunday.
Listen, the Jags think they're cool because they've been good for
like 2 minutes,
half a season. Yeah.
Other than that,
I didn't know they did that. I did not.
They've been. Other
you
than
didn't see that?
No, that's fucked up. No way.
Yeah.
Well, Trevor Lawrence before he was like saying like, oh, like they have little towels. He was actually kind of respectful, but obviously his teammates weren't because you've seen the clip there. So,
but anyway,
Sammy really did us like that.
Back to before Sal cut me off. Which I have accepted your apology, Sal. I thought about it between now and then. You made me feel a little better, maybe not Sal, about your offense being as bad as it is, because our offense has struggled the last few years. And I also sympathize with you guys because Matt Canada seems like is what Todd Downing was for us, the few years where we had him, where it was god awful. We were lucky if we sniffed 20 points a game. We had one anomaly against the Packers on Thursday night, and Captain Asshole decided to get a DUI when we landed back in Tennessee, and then that was really that. So
thank God he did.
Yeah, seriously, and thank God he didn't kill anybody. Yeah. Just our offense for a few years. But yeah, I sympathize with you there. My question for you is, because I feel like we're two teams in similar situations. Good head coaches that have similar personalities, well-respected guys, defenses that are good, offensive that have struggled, but always going to be a tough out. There's been talk within Titans, the Titans realm, Twitter world, whatever you want to call it, that some people are starting to get frustrated with Vrabel, and they wouldn't be all that surprised if after 6 years, if we don't make it, to the playoffs this year, he's been here long enough, and we think maybe his time could be up. There is some people that feel that way. Steelers fans are all over the place. I know a handful of them. I think some of them feel the same way about Tomlin as some Titans fans do about Vrabel. How do you guys feel about Tomlin? What's your frustration level with him? In the staff as a whole, because we've heard he has the same kind of loyalty as Vrabel. He's stubborn in who he hires and who he brings in, and it's always internal. How do you guys feel about, your situation? Because I feel like we're going through similar things at the moment with our staff as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it, Jordan, to start. Definitely the large amount of frustration stems from him keeping Matt Canada on staff, right? He has certainly enough pull where he's making that decision or is a huge factor in making that decision. Canada actually recruited his son to play college football at Maryland, so they're close. They're super tight, which obviously impacts much more than a professional relationship. With that said, I'm team Mike Tomlin all the way. I do not blame him for a lot of their, and I wouldn't call them struggles. I mean, the guy's been over 500, obviously, since he's been in the league, but for their lack of playoff success, I should say, lately. The blame for me falls on the general manager, former general manager, I should say, Kevin Colbert. And I'll tell you why. Because his recent history of first-round picks, man, Tomlin has not been able to turn this chicken shit into chicken soup. I'll rattle off some names for you, all right? Jarvis Jones, okay, it's a first-round pick. Artie Burns, is a cornerback, is a first-round pick.
Halloween's over.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Halloween is over. I'll give you a couple more. So Devin Bush is a first-round pick.
Wasn't he good for like a second?
So
His
he was decent
rookie
for
year,
a
and then after
second.
the torn ACL.
He's banged up. I mean, you could kind of – guys have come back from torn ACLs. But after that, I mean, he was mush. He was literally one of the worst inside linebackers in football. So your guy, who actually was not bad in Pittsburgh, but I'm sure you didn't love him in Tennessee. Tell me, how do you feel about Bud Dupree? I just got to ask.
Oh, I mean, we liked it when he was on the field,
Yeah.
but that's about it. He was productive when he played, but the greatest ability is availability, and he wasn't available often.
And interestingly enough, you just got Terrell Edmonds as well, who was another first-round pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers, who signed for peanuts with the Eagles this past season. So for me, it's always a clear tell, like when these guys leave the Steelers, outside of Bud Dupree, when other teams are giving them peanuts. Bush signs for nothing. Jones is out of the league, right? So it's not like these guys went to other places and became good. That to me is a tell that they, coaching maxed out on them. So Tomlin's a great coach. He's a good football mind. He's getting a little bit left behind because of how the game has changed in terms of offensive head coaches just taking off, right? Every Super Bowl the past handful of years is from McVay to Zach Taylor with the Bengals to Arians. I don't have to tell you guys, to Sirianni last year and Andy Reid, of course. So these defensive coaches, man, they're not in vogue anymore. They're just not. Like it's a Mike McDaniel type league at this point. You just gotta be blunt about it, right, Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely a big Tomlin guy. I will say this, though. I just think that at some point you have to be on the hot seat in the way that the Steelers are. I think it was 3 coaches in the entire franchise history. So it's like it's really who's going to light the fire. I feel like the Rooneys are the ones, but at the same time, it's like I think that they're all in cahoots with each other. So I think that the fan base is the most unhappy because, we preach that the standard is the standard. Obviously, Mike said it. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. We know how tough it is to win in the NFL. Like, we have 6 Super Bowls. And not to bring this up, but it's a good analogy is that, your franchise has none. So imagine just getting 1 Super Bowl, what that would feel like. The Steelers
Tomlin's
are
got
lucky
one.
enough.
He's got one.
Yeah. And a lot of people say, it was with Cowher's players, but at the same time, you play the season, it doesn't matter. He was the coach and he won the game. That's what matters. But I just think that something needs to happen eventually because, we preach there's literally a sign at Acrisure Stadium that says the standard is the standard. And you can't keep saying that. And if the standard is just being 500, then that's not really a standard.
Yeah.
But I will say that Mike Tomlin is, I think he's, a top 5, top 10 coach in the NFL. He's great. Yeah. I mean, he speaks for himself.
I'll go to bat for him. I appreciate you guys too. I'll throw it over to you guys. We'll hit you with 1 or 2 more things, and then I guess we'll give some predictions and jump off here. Nope. We've gone 24 minutes, and the name Derrick Henry hasn't even been said. So that's probably a record on any Titans podcast and in history, I would imagine. Obviously, hot trade deadline rumors out there flying around. He stays in Nashville. I'm sure you guys are excited about that. That's a guy that I feel like he's just going to be rumbling, bumbling, stumbling until he's 66 years old out there somehow.
Yeah. He'll be like Frank Gore
to the ground. Yeah, literally. Adrian Peterson played forever. Tell me about Henry right now. How are you guys feeling about him still being there?
Well, I'm staring at his jersey, his signed jersey, right in front of my face. I mean, he's the first player I would say to bring back the Eddie George type memories for me. I was at the playoff game in Baltimore when he went for 200. Sal and Jarrett were at the game in New England. I mean, he has given us memories that'll last a lifetime, and I love that he has always wanted to be here. Just a class act, a great player, and I hope he retires a Titan. Has he seemed like he's maybe lost half a step? Maybe half a step. You know, he might not be the same player he's been. But guess what? Last year he had the quietest 1,900-yard all-purpose season, I think. No one talks about at least 10, 12, 13 touchdowns. I think he had 2. This year he's still on pace for like 1,200 yards, 6, 7 touchdowns. So it's funny that, you know, people are saying he's fallen off, and he's going to have a year that would be an amazing year for most running backs. His word in the reins, you know. Did you lose me for a second? All you guys went
for a second you did, but we're good now. Yeah,
I mean, listen, he's phenomenal. I want him to be here forever. You know, I'm glad he didn't get traded. You know, I wouldn't have been surprised if it did happen. It would have broke my heart. But, I mean, listen, we lost Kevin Byard this past week. I mean, it's a business, and very rarely does one player play everywhere forever. But we have a rookie in Tajay Spears, who I spoke about earlier. I think he's going to get a lot of action this week. We drafted him in the 3rd round. He's been statistically one of the best, I think the best rookie running back this year. There's some stat I sent Jarrett and Sal today on Twitter that was tweeted out by some account. But he's been great. He can catch the ball. He's elusive. He's tough. I think he will get more action than people think this week. One, it's a short week. Henry had 22 carries last week. He's probably still sore. I think Tajay Spears touched the ball 4 or 5 times last week. He's fresh. I alluded to the fact that we need to get the ball out quickly. Derrick Henry can catch the ball. It's not his specialty. It's Tajay Spears' specialty. I think we'll see him in the backfield a lot, catching a lot of passes. I expect, you know, both backs to get between the 12 to 15 to 18 touch mark. I think we're going to run the ball around 30 times. It's going to be pretty close to a 50-50 split. But as far as Henry goes, man, he's up there, I think, on every Titans fan's top 5 of all time. And, you know, I hope he's here. I hope we re-sign him to a team-friendly deal next year, because this is the last year of his deal. But I'm ranting and raving about our boy. I'll let Sal do the same.
No, I'm just he's got a quarterback. I'd like to see him have a quarterback that people fear for once in his career. He's never had it. You could say whatever you want. Even at Tannehill's best, nobody feared him. You know, he was just a guy that was able to get it done. So if Levis has it and we keep him around for a little bit, I'd love to see what Derrick Henry can do with a guy who you have to fear through the air. So that's something also to look into. First game wasn't too shabby on Derrick Henry's end with a guy who could throw. I think he averaged about 4.5 yards a carry, which is kind of normal for him. But again, once these defenses realize that they got to worry about Levis over the top, I think he's going to really reap the benefits from it. So I hope that starts Thursday night, unfortunately for you guys, but I genuinely do. So, and I don't know, I'll throw it back to you real quick before we go to predictions. How do you think the loss of Minkah is going to affect this game at all? I know you guys picked somebody up from Detroit yesterday or something along the lines, so D-back. How's all that looking? How's that going to fit into play?
Jersey's finest, Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt. I mean, he's elite, one of the, top 5 safety, obviously, for my money in football. And considering that the back end of the Steelers defense has plagued them all season, is going to be a killer. It's something that Will Levis can obviously take advantage of if he's able to throw the ball down the field to guys like Hopkins, and work the tight ends a little bit. What's up with Chig? Is Chig still the guy? Who's there?
God, don't get us started on Chig, man. Bad drop last week. Made up for it a little bit with a 3rd down catch, but he was hyped all preseason. He had a strong rookie showing, but I mean, we haven't been explosive on offense, but the opportunities he has gotten, he hasn't capitalized on them. So we are
Who's in the slot for you guys? Is it Keeney Westbrook? Is it
Kyle? We have Kyle Phillips. He's a 2nd-year guy at UCLA. Hurt a lot last year, hurt this year. The staff loves him because we give him every chance in the world. But we'll move players all over. We'll have Hopkins in the slot, Nick Westbrook, Jared's favorite receiver. But yeah, we move guys all over, but it's Chig has been underwhelming, and all Titans fans are a little surprised and frustrated with him so far into his second year.
Yeah, it's very elusive. His hands are just his hands are inconsistent.
He's a freak athlete. You want to get him the ball, but I mean, he dropped a bad wide open pass where it would have been at least a 40, 50-yard gain, if not a touchdown.
Yeah, but then he made a great third down catch. So he usually evens out, but at the end of the day, we need more out of him. We were talking Pro Bowl for him coming into the year, and it's far from it. And then it doesn't end there. Wiley, we need more out of our tight end group, all the way around. So
he was a sexy fantasy name, that's for sure. And I think he's let me down in at least one of my millions of leagues. But yeah, I mean, it's going to help the Steelers then that Minkah doesn't need to be on a George Kittle or a Travis Kelce. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, there's not much to say, Jordan, other than it's awful. He's elite.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that, the leader. I mean, I would say that Cam Hayward is the heart and soul of that defense, so getting him back is going to be huge. But if we're just talking talent-wise, losing Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to be it's going to be devastating.
Is it for the year?
They haven't.
No, he's week to week. They haven't put him on IR or anything yet. But hamstrings, dude.
I would say if I had to give a ballpark, I would say 2 to 4 weeks probably. Hopefully, it's not that long. But
Frymuth came back too early from a hamstring, re-aggravated it. He's out longer. Deontay Johnson re-aggravated his. I think he's all right. But dude, hamstrings they could last 2 damn years somehow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Lingering.
Well, shout out Minkah Fitzpatrick, Old Bridge, New Jersey's finest. He's right in between Sal and I, where we live in Jersey.
Yep. So I have a redemption. I have a rookie redemption of his. I gotta figure out when I'm gonna send that in.
Getting that graded.
I don't know. I'll see how it looks when I get it in. I haven't sent it to Panini yet, but I'm excited to see it when I do. So it's out of like 25.
Let's get into these predictions, and we're going to tell you why we're going to be the team that's 4-4, not you. So, as I'm a gentleman, I'll let you guys go first. But what do you think is going to go down tomorrow night up in the Steel City?
I'll start. So, last week I just went out on a limb and said that the Steelers were going to break the 400-yard record. That didn't work out too well. So I'm going to be a little bit more. I'm going to be a little. I was really just trying to be optimistic and put
out slosh fest though. They played in poor rain.
And Kenny Pickett got hurt, so really it was like they might have at least scored some more points. But anyways, I'll keep it short and sweet. I think that again, I'm going to go. I think that the Steelers win this because the Steelers in prime time are very good, and I'm going to say 16-13. Steelers. I take the under on this game because I just feel that you always want to think that when the Steelers are going to get off to a fast start, and I literally can't even pinpoint the last time where we came out and scored a touchdown on the first drive of the game.
Neither can we.
So yeah, I mean our teams are very similar. That's why I said 16-13. And if I was being an analyst and a realist and not a homer, obviously I'm always going to go with the Steelers. But we always say we're trying to be unbiased on our podcast, and so I think it could flip either way. I think it could be 16-13 Titans, or I think it can be 16-13 Steelers. But I'm going to go 16-13 Steelers as long as Kenny Pickett can play all 4 quarters and hopefully, injury free. So I'm going to say 16 and a George Pickens touchdown again.
I like it, man. Screw 400 yards. We're going for 500. Come on now. It's the Titans defense.
You must be you'll be sleeping.
No Kevin Byard. No, it's going to be a hard fought game. Crappy conditions. Jordan made a great point. Pittsburgh is great in prime time. Like that's not something you can quantify. It's not on the field, obviously, but you look at the stats. Mike Tomlin has like a 90 win percentage. It's absolutely insane. I was going to hit you with one more thing that I saw. The last 20 seasons, when the Steelers have faced a rookie quarterback, the rookie quarterback is 1-15 in Pittsburgh specifically. They are masterminds at developing game plans and schemes to kind of throw guys off their scent. Levis, it's his second start. He balled out, absolutely. But Jordan said it earlier, the Steelers aren't the Falcons defense. It's a team that's going to be hella motivated after this loss. TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith still the best pass rush duo in the league for my money. JJ Watt is going to be in the house. TJ's brother just announced it on Twitter, waving his terrible towel. He gave you guys nightmares for a decade. So I think TJ Watt's going to give you more nightmares. After this Steelers win, I'm going to get myself a Titans towel or something, and I'm going to take a video of myself stomping it back here and send it
You
to
guys have
Sammy,
towels?
right after that. So whatever you guys got, maybe one of those headbands or something like that. You might have to mail that to me. Maybe you guys wear a Steelers jersey, or we do some bet. I'll wear a Titans jersey on the next
we'll
podcast.
wear a Titan.
I don't hate it. No, I like that. Listen, I'll go Steelers 2017. It's going to be a solid game, but I'm favoring the Berg.
Oh, well, the disrespect to William Donovan Levis by the 13-point prediction. How dare you? And then to you only say 17. I mean, come on. Just disrespect to the future GOAT. I do think it will be a close game. Watch what you wish for, though, buddy, with the Titans defense. I think you said, come on, this is the Titans defense. Let's look at that Falcons tape last week and how we got out. It is our weak point, but guess what? Our defensive line makes up for it. Jeffrey Simmons is a problem. Jeffrey Simmons, in my opinion, is the second best defensive tackle in the league to Aaron Donald. You can argue 3 or 4, but he's definitely top 5 in my opinion. He's number 2 and will be number 1 soon. Danico Autry, the few gifts John Robinson gave us, Danico Autry was one of them. We got Howard Landry has looked better the last few weeks. Arden Key has been great. And then a Pittsburgh guy himself, Pit Panther, Rashad Weaver, has shown some flashes as well. So this defensive line is nasty. I do expect it to be a close game. I'm going to say that we are going to win 24-17. I believe the Titans are going to ride that momentum. I think we're going to devise a good game plan. And, I think you said 1-15 the Titans are against the Steelers. Well, I talked about the law of averages before the show. Eventually, we have to buck the trend, right? So you're about to be 2-15.
I think that's just rookie quarterbacks.
It was it's just rookie quarterbacks against the Titans in the last 20 years.
Well, I believe the law of averages
but it might be 1-15 with the Titans anyway. I mean,
it probably is. That video Sal put up is probably the last time. The one that Sammy put up that Sal told him to. I had no part in that. No disrespect to you guys. Might have been the last time we beat you, but either way. I think the Titans, you guys have owned this as of late. I think we buck the trend tomorrow night. We ride the momentum. I think you guys are just at a disadvantage right now without Minkah Fitzpatrick. You said J.J. Watt. Well, you might need him by the end of the game to come down from the stands and help out little brother, because I think the Titans finally get you guys at home 24-17. Salvatore, what are we thinking?
That was my exact score prediction. I swear to God. So
wow.
I'm not
great
gonna
minds.
change it.
Great minds.
Yeah, 24-17. Listen, another thing I got to correct. I mean, not really correct, but the Falcons defense was nothing to really laugh at. I mean, as far as yards a game, they're top 6, I believe. They give up less than 200 yards a game average. So they're pretty stout, or I should say passing. They give up under 200 yards passing. So their secondary has been decent, and Will Levis carved it up. So that's what's going to. Obviously, there's no way I can get off this wave that I've been riding for the last 4 days as far as what the future with Will Levis is going to be. So I'm going to stick with 24-17. I think we're going to have a bend, don't break defense. You might put some yards on us, but I think our defense holds their own in the red zone, and we take advantage of a little banged up Kenny. Kenny that even when healthy hasn't been anything to go crazy about. I still like his size. I still like his intangibles. I think he's the future regardless, but I still think he has some growing pains to go through. Even Josh Allen, like you look at his stats, first 2-3 years, he was really sluggish, didn't have a ton of talent around him. You can make the argument that Kenny has some decent talent around him, but I still think he's going through it. And I think Levis's momentum is just too crazy to ignore. So 24-17 Titans. But I do give Pittsburgh a chance to still sneak into a wild card. I think I like their roster. I think they have a lot of leaders on that team. It's just going to have to come together on offense for you guys.
But what about you guys? You give yourself a chance to sneak into a wild card?
Yeah, sure, I think we still have a shot at the division. I genuinely think so.
4 or 5 teams fighting for those last 2 spots. It'll be
per usual.
Whoever doesn't win the North. So say Baltimore wins, I think Cincy and Pittsburgh will be in fighting for that spot, as will Tennessee, as will either Buffalo or Miami. I don't think the Chargers are going to go away. There's going to be 4 or 5 teams fighting for those last few spots. And just like you guys don't seem to ever go away, I think we kind of have that mentality as well. It's never going to be an easy out.
2 very similar teams.
Yeah, we're gonna be in it a lot, and that ball bounces, funny ways. And sometimes it goes your way, and sometimes it doesn't. And that'll be the difference between 9-8 or 8-9 or 10-7 or 7-10, and the difference of making it into the playoffs or not. But yeah, after last week, Will Levis is definitely, his play has talked us off the ledge for sure. And the fact that we didn't trade Hopkins or Henry, I think, shows the front office's confidence in the fact that, with this team intact as is, that, the division might be a little bit out of reach. Jacksonville seems like they're for real and they have a few game lead on us, but that wild card
twice.
Yeah. I mean, listen, after what they did last year, anything's possible. But that wild card spot, absolutely. That last spot, I think we'll be fighting for it till the end. If, all things considered, we stay healthy,
Yeah, listen, with Mike Tomlin and Mike Rabel, I think you're always going to have a chance at the end. All right, that has been the Sick Podcast Collab. Vinny, Sal, Jordan over there, whatever side you're on that side. Man, it's been a blast. Make sure you guys follow Talking Titans, Steelers Crazy, all the other great Sick podcasts we have out there. Of course, tune in on Thursday night. Of course, tonight we're Steelers, Titans. We're ready. It's going to be exciting. And then one of us will certainly have bragging rights, that's for sure, the next time we have a collab. So
Sammy's going to regret playing that.
It'll be tough for them to talk to us next week when we're on, but no, it's all good fun.
It'll be me because I'm the one that did it, but I'll be the one regretting it.
I love it. Thanks, guys. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Good luck.
You're going to need it.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.